Hey guys, Justin here, and today we are checking out the new Arca damage model, or to be more specific, the Arca damage model tweaks. So, what we're going to look at first is just some scenarios that me and Steve did in a Gen 4 practice. The Gen 4 and Arca cars should share the same body, so let's see what happened. So we'll start here with the first scenario. So basically, I'm just going to be hitting Steve in the rear a little bit offset. And a couple things to note here. One, the car's still wedged. So you be careful hitting somebody's rear because it can still wedge like that. But look at the car just feels a little more bouncy under contact. It just seems like to me from this patch. And now one more thing to note here is look at the front end damage. This does not look like the amount of front end damage that you would get previously at only less than 30 miles an hour. This destroys the front end. So one thing that we noticed is that if you hit anything square in the Arca / Gen 4 car now, you will get a meatball at anything greater than like 20 miles an hour if it hits the radiator or something. And if you hit something more in the right front or the left front, you mitigate a lot of that damage, but it's still gonna look really bad because they made the front end more fragile in general. All right, let's go to scenario 2. We just kind of did the same thing again. I hit him a little more square this time. Same wedge, same front end damage, and I still got a meatball for that. Okay. Third scenario, I wanted to check the side damage, what it looks like when you hit somebody from the side, if it's going to wedge there or something weird. So, no wedge on the side. The side damage looks like less scrapey and more bumpy. And then, for some reason, a little bit less front end damage from hitting somebody on the side. I think it has something to do, like when you wedge under somebody, I think there's just a lot of things happening with the calculations that just end up destroying your front end. Whereas if you hit something square, there's a lot less visual damage, but it's a lot easier to get a meatball. Okay. Scenario 4, I turned around to check the rear damage. So I hit his rear with my rear to try to get something square. This is really funny. I don't think iRacing really consider what happens when two rears hit each other, because you might want to hide your kids here, but this is not G-rated. Is it? That's odd. But oddness aside, you can see that the backs crumple a lot easier now. Look, the deck lid broke on Steve's car. A lot easier for that to happen in the new damage model. Basically, everything was made more fragile on the Arca / Gen 4 car. Okay, and then the next scenario we did was we got off pit road and we tried some bump drafting. So one thing I want to show here is that for the bump drafting, I think basically it's about the same as last time with maybe a little more leniency to a bump draft. You still can't slam draft. Do not slam draft in this car because it'll just destroy them. But I found that you can bump a little bit better. And it might just be a slight placebo, but because these cars are still wedges, as you can see right here. But look, in the old days being one day ago, if you wedge somebody as this car, you don't have front end damage. But they lowered the parameter so that when you wedge somebody like that, you get front end damage. I remember I did a Gen 4 race where I wedged somebody, and we both came away with 0 seconds of damage, even though we both spun out and made a lot of contact and stuff. Those days are numbered, and by numbered I mean over. Because it looks like he actually didn't get any rear damage from that, but boy did I get a lot of front damage from it. Oh no, he did get rear damage from it, or was that from that hit right there? No, he got rear damage. Okay, so yeah, so the wedge effect is going to cause damage now. So you can't just punt people with a wedge and just spin them out and not get any damage. Your front end's going to get destroyed here. And then I believe I hit the wall. And boom. So what does the side damage look like? Yeah, you can see here I got a lot more front end damage just from that little hit. That's kind of a hit that you would expect, a type of hit. Like maybe hitting the wall coming off the corner, that's going to cause a lot more damage than you're used to now. Basically, everything on here is more fragile, like I said before. All right. And then the final test that I was doing was just single car hitting a wall. So let's see here. So it just destroys the car. And how fast was I going? Say 70 miles an hour, destroys the front end. Nothing left of it. Bumper falls off, everything. 70 miles an hour before the update was like pretty decent front end damage, but not this much for sure. Okay. And then I did it a little slower, so I backed it down to 40 miles an hour, 35. Hit it with the, so this is really weird. So when you hit something with the corner and not square on, it kind of jumps in the air because of the tire physics with it. So you get that little jump in the air. And you don't get that same radiator damage that causes an instant black flag. So even though I hit it 45 miles an hour here, because it was more on the right front, that was okay. I probably got some wheel damage though. But I'll show you here. I got a meatball for hitting squarely at 30 miles an hour. Look at that. I got a meatball. So you cannot hit anything in this car squarely anymore. Don't even think about it. 30 miles an hour is nothing. But it still destroyed the car. All right. And then one more time. All right, one more time here. And I went all the way down to 15 miles an hour. And even at 15 miles an hour, square head on, I still got a ton of damage from it. Like, yeah, that doesn't look like a ton, I guess, but that's going to kill your race, even just the smallest contact. So you cannot hit anything with the nose anymore, which, good. You shouldn't be hitting much with your nose anyways. But even less so now with the Gen 4 and the Arca car, you cannot do that. All right. Hope that kind of cleared some things up about the new damage model for the Arca and Gen 4 car. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.